Hey guys, welcome back to Reserved Investments on YouTube, and this is the video that a lot of yous in cyberspace and YouTube land have been waiting for me to produce for the last several weeks. Today we're going to talk about the Pokemon market by and large, my thoughts on the Pokemon market, and we're going to start off by talking about 14th century philosophy because I know a lot of you guys out there, once I state that, you're going to tune off the video and you're not going to pay any attention to the video anymore going forward because why is Sean, a consultant in the antiques and collectibles trade, starting off a video on Pokemon talking about a 14th century philosopher? Well, the philosopher that we're going to start off talking about is William Occam. And if you guys don't know the name Occam, you've probably heard one of his most popular philosophical ideologies, the concept of Occam's razor. Now, I'm probably saying Occam wrong. I understand. Again, guys, I hate Latin. I hate any language that is based on Latin. So believe it or not, I probably pronounce a lot of English words wrong. And ironically, I was born in the United States of America. So what the hell do I know? Why are you even listening to me if you're going to cut me up in the comment section about how I pronounce some of these names? Let's be honest. So where we're going with this is Occam's razor is a principle that, of two explanations that account for all the facts, the simpler one is more likely to be correct. So let me use this as an example. Let's say you're driving upon the road and you look to your right out the window and you see a fence that is pretty much in utter decay to the point where anybody could walk through that fence. It's completely decayed. It's completely broken. The most logical assumption that an average person would have is, well, gee, over the years, that fence weathered and nobody bothered to fix it. Now, somebody else sitting in the car with you, possibly smoking a substance that we're not going to bring up because the YouTube algorithm won't like it, they'll probably have an idea where, well, the reason why that fence is broken like it is because some crazy cow who couldn't get laid came across, ran through the fence, broke it, and the owner didn't bother to fix it because all of his cows ran away. So that's an example of Occam's razor. Most likely, the simplest explanation is also the most factual, meaning that by and far, most likely a bull who couldn't get laid didn't run through that fence and break through it. Obviously, it's years of neglect that caused that fence to pretty much decay and allow an opening to form in it. That's an example of Occam's razor. I don't think I have to spend too much time on this point. Now, where am I going with this? Well, I'm reading some very interesting comments online on collecting forums and a lot of collecting groups about Pokemon is just blowing up. It's the premier 100% guaranteed investment of the new millennium. Everybody should be putting all their money in vintage Pokemon cards. The market's going to go gangbusters. It's going to go gangbusters for another 10, 20, 30, 40 years because every kid growing up today loves Pokemon. And as a result, they're going to want to spend all their money. They're not going to want to move into a house. They're not going to want to get a college education. They're going to spend all their money on vintage Pokemon cards and the like. This almost reminds me of Tulip Bulb Mania. For those of you that know what I'm referring to, look up Tulip Bulb Mania on Google. If you don't, it's going to be a very enlightening experience for some of you out there. Believe it or not, in the 1600s, the Dutch were paying a premium for tulip bulbs to the point where one tulip bulb cost almost as much as a house back in the late 1600s. Well, as you can imagine, as time went on and more tulip bulbs came to market, the speculative bubble that ushered in the cost of a tulip bulb at the equivalent of one house crashed. So what I want to talk about in this video a little bit is why Pokemon prices are where they are today, what we can learn from it, and what you should and should not do if you are invested in this market. Now, as always, I understand this is a very controversial discussion. I get that some of you out there really get really emotional whenever I talk about Pokemon or Magic the Gathering or vintage video games or great at video games to the point, Sean, you're wrong. Oh my gosh, this is going to be the next big thing. You don't understand. If I sold my Pokemon collection right now, I would make $40,000. And I always ask, well, then why aren't you selling it? And you guys always come to me and go, because Sean, it's going to go to $80,000 or $100,000, or Sean, it's going to go to $250,000 to the point where I'm not going to have to work again a day in my life. To the point which I say, $250,000 really has the power to change your life that much? I'm sorry. I'm an investor, have been an investor my whole life, both in antiques, collectibles, and other assets. And I have well more than $250,000. And I'm still here on YouTube. I'm still going to work each and every day. So I understand that, yes, $250,000 is a lot of money, but it's not going to be life-changing as some of you think. So you guys really, really need to calm down and get a more realistic perspective going on here. So that's why I do these videos. So everybody out there who's collecting Pokemon cards, who's thinking of getting into this market, just do me one favor. Breathe in. Deep breath in, guys. Come on. And out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Are you guys all calm now? Okay, now we can get to the crux of this video, now that I wasted 6 minutes of your life. Pokemon is in a massive speculative bubble right now. That doesn't mean it's going to go to zero. It doesn't mean the market's going to crash. All these Pokemon cards are going to become worthless. Kids growing up today in 20 years, they're not going to care about Pokemon. That is not what I am saying. What I am saying to you guys is, you must understand the fundamentals of this market and the overall antiques and collectibles trade. First, let me address this first, as I've said in other videos. For little Timmy, for little Kimmy, for little Sally that's growing up and is exposed to Pokemon, for her to become an adult collector of Pokemon, the first and foremost thing that has to happen is that particular individual has to be a collector. Collectors are born. They are not made. Long-term collectors are born, guys. I don't know how many times I have to beat this into some of you guys' heads out there, but you must understand this concept. All the people that I know out there who are financially established, who are very successful, a lot of them, a large majority of them, have no use for my services as a consultant in the antiques and collectibles trade. Do you know why? They're not collectors. They don't care about diverting assets into antiques and collectibles. They stick with stocks, bonds, real estate, gold, silver, cryptocurrency, maybe certain commodities like oil and the like, although right now oil's getting killed. The whole energy sector is, regardless of where you stand politically. I think we all agree with that. And they don't want to put money in the antiques and collectibles trade because they don't have a passion for these markets. They don't want to spend the time to learn them. And overall, they just don't see it as a viable option. So most of those people are never, ever going to come in contact with me, a consultant in the antiques and collectibles trade, because they have no use for my services. So where am I going with this analogy? Well, little Timmy, little Kimmy, little Sally that's growing up right now, maybe they're 10, 20 years old, and they love Pokemon, and eventually, when they get established, some of them will become collectors. It's guaranteed. The collecting gene, if we can call it that, is out there. So it's very possible they grow up, they become a collector. The other hurdle you have to get past is, do they want to collect Pokemon cards? Just because you're a collector does not mean you're going to collect everything in your childhood that interests you. That is a misnomer. That is repeated incorrectly by a lot of the YouTube hype-driven channels out there. And I want to make sure that you guys understand that. So the first hurdle you have to get past is that person going to be a collector, number one? The second hurdle you have to get past is, are they going to collect Pokemon cards? Maybe they're going to gravitate towards art, maybe coins, maybe currency, maybe video games, maybe knickknacks, Barbie dolls, My Little Pony, G.I. Joe figures. We don't know what they're going to want to collect. There's a lot of people that get into the collecting marketplace and they go in different directions. It's not a guarantee that they're going to grow up and go, you know, I used to love playing Monster Hunter Generations on my Nintendo 3DS. I'm going to go into the market and I'm going to buy a copy of that game right now. Or I loved Lego. I'm going to go into the market and I'm going to get myself some vintage Lego sets because that was my thing growing up. That is not guaranteed to happen, guys. People come into these markets all the time and they go in different directions. Long-term collectors, what sets them apart from short-term speculators, from people that just have a passing interest in this stuff, is that they're drawn to certain markets over the long term. Now, to be fair, to answer all my critics out there, you are 100% correct. Pokemon is on its way, some point in the future, decades out, to becoming an established market. That doesn't mean it's going to become a mature market. To give you a prime example, look at Hummels. Hummels came out right around 1940s in Germany, and at the end of World War II, they became a very popular collectible that people were buying and they were trading on the secondary market. Believe it or not, this is pre-internet era. Well, as time went on, Hummels transitioned to an established collecting category in the trade. Unfortunately, within the last 20 years, Hummels ran out of steam. Nobody cares about Hummels anymore. There are certain Hummels out there that do sell for thousands of dollars on the secondary market and on eBay. But by and large, if you were to have bought Hummel figurines back in the 80s or 1990s, and you said, you know what, I'm putting these away for an investment. In the next several decades, I'm going to sell them and I'm going to make money. You would have been most likely wrong 90% of the time. So you must understand, not all these markets go in the direction that they want them to go. Now, am I saying that Pokemon cards are going to go that way? I am not, guys. I want to be very clear here. I'm just giving you an example of a collecting category that did transition from speculative to established, but was not able to transition from an established collecting category to that of a mature collecting market. That does happen. Now, getting back to Pokemon. At present time, prices are at an all-time high. Let me repeat that. Prices right now for Pokemon cards are at an all-time high. You have people like Logan Paul, whatever his name is, coming in, paying a premium price for these items. You have the former rapper known as Logic coming in, paying six figures for some of these cards. And they're all going on the internet. They're going on social media. They're flipping and flashing these cards on Instagram, Facebook, and the like. And it's building. It's building a lot of speculative euphoria in this market that we haven't seen in the antiques and collectibles trade for some time. And I'm going to be very honest with you guys. It's actually scary to someone like me who has an education in economics and finance, for the simple reason that I know a lot of the Timmies out there, a lot of the Poindexters out there who have a credit card, they're looking at this market and they're going, well, gee, if I have a 0% credit card and I buy a $10,000 Pokemon card and that Pokemon card goes to $20,000, I can sell it, pay off the credit card, and still make some money in this market. That is an example of Occam's razor. You are thinking the only logical choice in your mind is, well, these markets are all going up. They're exponentially rising. When you don't understand, you may be buying some of these items at the top of the market. Now, do I think that tomorrow Pokemon is going to crash 20 to 30%? As much as I would love for that to happen and welcome it, because I think a correction in that market is long overdue, no, because right now we are in the speculative bubble that is causing that market to exponentially rise. This is proof as to why we have all these social media market makers coming into the market in mass, paying a record sum for these items. But overall, guys, I don't see this market stabilizing for the long term. So, to give my critics something to ponder, if you are getting into this market, please do not be like some of the Timmies who are reaching out to me going, Sean, I had $10,000 invested in Pokemon cards. It's worth $40,000. I refuse to sell. What I usually advise those clients to do, if you come to me for consulting services, I will tell you, why can't you sell half your collection? You don't have to sell it all. I'm never, ever going to tell you, even as a consultant in the antiques and collectibles trade, I will never ever advise you, if you have an emotional attachment to something, where you have to sell the entire collection. But what's wrong with taking some profit out of those particular items at present time and putting it somewhere else, like an S&P 500 index fund, putting it in real estate, something that has real lasting value, not something that is in a speculative bubble at present time. These are questions you have to ask yourself. You have to challenge yourself with these questions so that you can become a better collector, a better investor, and somebody who is just the man, firing on all cylinders in your personal life, your financial life, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being. Because I'm going to tell you, no investor out there that gets involved with the speculative market and sees that market rise from $10,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 says, you know what? I'm going to just keep all my money there permanently, and I'm going to watch it keep going up and up. That is the speculator's fallacy, guys. I did a whole video on this. How many people got burnt in the 70s, 80s, 90s, thinking that these collecting markets, just because they went up 50, 100, in some cases 500%, that these markets were going to keep rising exponentially. And what happened? The bottom eventually fell out, or the market stabilized. Not all these markets crashed and went to zero. You know, a lot of the critics out there, they think that I'm comparing Pokemon cards to Beanie Babies. I'm not. They're two different markets. Pokemon cards, to be fair, have a lot of popularity and they have organic collectability. Beanie Babies only had popularity. They did not have true organic collectability, and that was the problem. And again, guys, remember, I'm commenting on the vintage Pokemon market when I say that. I'm not talking about the speculative nature of modern era products where people are doing all types of crazy things. People are reaching out to me, Sean, I pulled a direct in reverse hollow foil Charizard card that sells for $500 on the market. I'm going to keep it. And I always ask them, why are you keeping it? Flip it immediately. Get that money and go. Get out of the market if you're in the market for modern stuff. Make your money and go. Again, guys, you make your money in the antiques and collectibles trade overall when you're operating in speculative markets through the short term more than the long term. Some of you guys are analyzing these markets entirely wrong. If I had a hollow foil first edition Charizard card right now from first edition base that was graded in PSA 10, and somebody came to me and said, I will give you $230,000 for that card, I'm selling. I don't care. I don't want to be the guy that's holding that card, waiting for it to go to possibly $250,000, $300,000. At that particular point, the easy money's already been made. So that's what I'm telling you guys. You must analyze these markets properly and understand that no asset class goes up exponentially. Now, the final point I want to make in this video, now that we're almost 18 minutes in, is that Pokemon has surpassed Magic the Gathering. I'm going to tell you this is going to have a consequential effect on the Magic the Gathering market, because what I'm seeing behind the scenes, and I'm telling you guys now that nobody watches these videos past 18 minutes, I can tell you that from the YouTube algorithm. I have a lot of people coming to me that are asking me, Sean, I want to sell my Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Revised Magic the Gathering collection. And I tell them, why all of a sudden are you selling? Well, I want to go after Pokemon. Pokemon's the hot new thing. So now we have all these speculators, all these investors that are just chasing trends. And guys, let me leave you with this. If that's all you're going to do your whole life is just chase trends, you're never going to build long-term wealth. And you are the akin of the snake oil salesman out there who is just putting his money into uneducated investing schemes, hoping that one of them sticks for the long term. You guys need to step back and analyze these markets for what they really are, devoid of any emotion. That goes for any collector out there. I don't care what market you're operating in. I even give that advice to coin collectors, firearm collectors, book collectors, and the like. I am not being biased in this video. Understand, Pokemon, great at video games, vintage video games, and Magic the Gathering cards are in a massive speculative euphoria at present time. Again, that doesn't mean they're going to go to zero, but you really have to know what you're doing if you're going to make any money in these markets. You cannot park money there long term and think it's going to exponentially rise year after year. And for the little Timmies that are going to come on this channel and tell me, hey, Sean, look at Rudy of Alpha Investments, or look at SM Pratt of SM Pratt Pokemon fame. I got news for you. Go analyze where Rudy made his money. He made his money in corporate bonds, and he also owns significant real estate holdings. He does not, to my knowledge, based on watching his channel, have all of his money in Magic the Gathering. And guess what? Neither should you. And that applies to Pokemon as well. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below.